Have you ever heard the story of David and Goliath and thought you knew exactly how it happened? A small shepherd boy, a giant warrior, one stone, one sling, and a miracle. But what if the real story is deeper and more strategic than most people realize? What if David didn't win because he was weak, but because he understood something everyone else missed? The armies of Israel stood frozen on one side of a vast valley. Across from them, the Philistine army waited. And between them stood a giant. His name was Goliath. He was covered in bronze armor and carried weapons so heavy that most men could barely lift them. Every morning and every evening he stepped forward and shouted a challenge. "Choose a man and send him to fight me." For 40 days no one answered, not the soldiers, not the commanders, not even King Saul, the tallest man in Israel. Fear had silenced an entire nation. Then one day, a young boy arrived at the battlefield. He was not a soldier. He was not trained in war. He was simply bringing food to his older brothers. His name was David. As David walked through the camp, he heard the giant's voice echo across the valley. He saw trained soldiers trembling. He watched warriors step backward in fear, and something inside him burned. He asked, "Who is this Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The soldiers stared at him in disbelief. How could a boy speak with such boldness when grown men were hiding? Eventually, David was brought before King Saul. The king looked at him and saw nothing but a child. "You are not able to go against this Philistine," Saul said. "You are only a boy and he has been a warrior since his youth." But David answered with calm confidence. He spoke about the lions and bears he had faced while protecting his sheep. He told the king how God had helped him defeat predators far stronger than himself. Then he said, "The Lord who delivered me from the lion and from the bear will deliver me from this Philistine." Saul had no better option, so he agreed to let David fight. He placed his own armor on the boy, a heavy helmet, a coat of bronze, a sword at his side. But when David tried to walk, he could barely move. After a few steps, he stopped. "I cannot fight in these," he said. So David removed the armor and laid the sword aside. Instead, he picked up what he had always used: his staff, his sling, and 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream. And this is where most people misunderstand the story. David was not stepping into battle unarmed. He was stepping into battle with the weapon he knew best. In ancient times, skilled slingers were deadly warriors. A stone from a sling could travel faster than an arrow with the force of a bullet. David was not choosing weakness, he was choosing precision. He began to walk toward the giant alone. Goliath stared at the approaching boy and laughed. "Am I a dog?" he roared, "that you come to me with sticks?" He expected a sword fight, he expected close combat. He expected David to fight on his terms. But David had no intention of fighting the giant's battle. "You come against me with sword and spear," David shouted back, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." The valley fell silent. Then Goliath began to move forward, and David did something unexpected. He ran toward the giant. As he ran, he reached into his pouch, pulled out a stone, placed it in his sling, and began to swing it around his head. The air whistled, the stone flew, and before Goliath could react, it struck him directly in the forehead. The giant staggered. His massive body trembled. Then he collapsed, crashing to the ground. In that moment, the battle was already over. David ran forward, stood over the fallen giant, and took Goliath's own sword. The shepherd boy had defeated the strongest warrior in the land. The Israelite army erupted in shock and then in cheers. The Philistines turned and fled. But here is the truth most people miss. David did not win because he was the weakest. He won because he used what he had better than anyone else. He did not try to become a soldier. He did not copy the king. He did not fight like everyone expected. He stayed who he was, a shepherd, a protector, a young man who had spent years in isolation practicing with a sling while no one was watching. Those quiet years in the fields were not wasted. They were preparation. And when the moment came, the skills he developed in secret saved his life in public. This is why the story still speaks to us today. Because many people feel like David before the battle. Unknown, overlooked, unnoticed. But David's story reminds us of something powerful. Your hidden season is not your useless season. It is your training season. The same God who saw David in the field saw him on the battlefield. And the same gifts that seem small in private can become powerful in public at the right moment. So the next time you hear the story of David and Goliath, remember this: it was not just a miracle. It was faith meeting preparation at the perfect moment.